guys, it's Kathleen, and today I'm going to be doing the Get to Know You book tag, and I'm also going to be announcing the winner of my 200 subscriber giveaway. So just to get the giveaway part out of the way, I already contacted this person, but the winner is Kristen's library, so yay, go Kristen. But anyway, as part of that announcement, I thought I would do just a fun tag. I was tagged to do this tag by the first chapter, and I believe this was created by Paper Chains, so I'm going to leave a link to both their channels down below. Question number 1 in this tag is, what is your favorite book? And if you've been here a while, you know what my favorite book is. But my favorite book is Anne of Green Gables by Lucy Maud Montgomery. I read this for the first time when I was 11 years old, and I just really fell in love with it. But the weird thing is, I didn't define it as my favorite book until the last couple of years. For some reason, for a very long time, I think I just said Harry Potter was my favorite book. I really didn't say Anne of Green Gables was my favorite book. And then recently, I actually reflected on all the books I've loved and the books that have really impacted me, and Anne of Green Gables was top of the list, so this made my top 5 books. Yeah, I just really love it a lot. I don't have a lot to say about it, honestly. It's just a really special story to me. I think I like the relentless optimism that you find in these books. They're full of hope and they're full of love and happiness, but also struggles and things like that. So I just really love this book a lot. It's really good, guys. Question number 2 is, what was your favorite book 5 years ago? And honestly, first of all, I was in like grade 10 5 years ago, and that's super weird. Time is just flying. But honestly, I don't even know what I would have said 5 years ago. I think I probably would have said Harry Potter. Actually, I would have said Harry Potter. Only because I was a reader my whole life, but I don't think I read as much in junior high. I read a lot of stuff like The Hunger Games. I read Twilight in elementary school. And then I read sort of like whatever my mom would sometimes bring home for me, but I was going through that phase where you don't want to read what other people suggest. Just straight up wouldn't read that stuff she brought home a lot of the time. And I think I read things like The Fault in Our Stars and stuff like that. So I probably would have said either Harry Potter or something like An Abundance of Catherines, which I bought in like grade 7, even though that's nowhere near my favorite book now. But realistically, I probably would have said Harry Potter. Question 3 is favorite duology, trilogy, or series. I assume it just means like one of the 3. You don't have to say one for each one. And for that, I'm gonna hold up my beautifully frayed copy of the final book in the series, Unfortunate Events series, which are honestly just like the best books for children. They're so good. They're so clever and they're so smart, and there's so many of them. Like, I just love that it's like a 13-book series. I feel like that's a rare thing. I don't know, I remember just really relating to Klaus Baudelaire and being like, I want to read all the time. And I thought that I was gonna like fight bad guys in my life and things like that. So yeah, I absolutely really love this series. I just think it's the best. Question 4 is, what was the last book you read? And I'm not sure if this means last book you finished or last book you like literally just read. But the last book I finished was The Story of the Treasure Seekers, and if you watched my wrap up, you would have seen that. But honestly, I haven't finished a single book this month so far, which is sad. But I'm going to show you the book I'm currently reading, which is the last book I read, and that is Dear Martin by Nicola Stone. Is it Nick Stone? No, it's just Nick Stone. I don't know. Is her name Nicola? I don't know where I got that. But this is a book that's sort of similar to The Hate You Give. It's about a boy named Justice who writes letters to Dr. Martin Luther King and basically tries to imitate his teachings and his life. And then I think he gets caught in a situation where he is in a car and a police officer shoots and bad stuff happens from there. It's a pretty quick little read, so I'm hoping I'll finish it soon, and it'll be the first book I should finish this month. And this is actually my current read for the Holiday Adventure-a-thon. Question 5 is, what was the last book of poetry you read? And I have actually never completed a book of poetry, which is really sad. So I'm not really sure what to say. I think when I was at work one day, I flipped through The Princess Saves Herself in this one, because I've heard that's good, and I was kind of felt the poems a little bit, so you know, maybe I'll pick that up sometime soon. So I guess that's the last one I read. Question 6 is, what book most influenced your life? And I feel like everyone's gonna say this, but of course Harry Potter. I saw an article Marie Lu wrote recently about Celeste Ng's Little Fires Everywhere. She talked about how there are some books where you can clearly remember the before and after point in your life. You clearly remember the person you were before, and then you absolutely know the person you were after because you were so distinctly changed by that book. Harry Potter is probably, like everybody else, was this book for me. Harry Potter changed so much for me. It made me a real reader. It made me a real writer. It changed me in ways I didn't know I could be changed when I was only 9 years old. It defined so much of how I relate to the world nowadays and how I look at the world, and I'm really grateful for that. It made me want to do so many things I didn't know I wanted to do. Mainly, honestly, I really was inspired to be an author by this point. And everyone was reading Harry Potter at the same time, kind of in my little world, and we were all loving it, and I think it was just the thing that made me realize what you could do with words and the kind of places you could imagine with words. Hogwarts. So I'm really, really grateful for Harry Potter. It really did impact my world a lot, and I really do see it as my before and after book. Question 7 is a book that made you ugly cry, and I feel like you guys are gonna laugh when I tell you this, but the only book that has ever made me sob is Me Before You by Jojo Moyes. So if you haven't heard about this book, honestly I'm kind of surprised, but it's basically about this woman who loses her job at a bakery, and she takes a job as a caretaker for a man who is quadriplegic. I think I'm saying that right, but I might not be. Correct me if I'm wrong. And she learns quickly that his intent is to go to Switzerland for an assisted suicide because he's tired of living his life. Obviously, I'm not going to say what happens at the end of this book because that would kind of spoil things, but it made me sob. It was 1:53 a.m. in the morning. I was in my grandparents' guest room and I just started ugly crying. Like, it was crazy. For a lot of people, this book is about the debate regarding assisted suicide and rights to die, and for me, this book wasn't about that at all. For the most part, it was just about choices and whether we can love people, whether we agree with their choices or not. And honestly, what struck me so strongly was the idea that loving people isn't always enough to save them. I know a lot of people have issues with this book, but honestly, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars just because of the emotional reaction it provoked in me. I really freaking love this book, guys. It's so good. Like, I don't know. A lot of people really criticize this book, and I totally understand that, but I can't help loving it. I really, really, really do. Question 8 is a book that made you laugh, and for this, I'm saying Me and Earl and the Dying Girl by Jessie Andrews. I read this about 3 years ago and I freaking loved it. It was one of the funniest books I'd ever read at the time. It's about a boy named Earl who basically goes through his life trying not to fit in with any particular group. He doesn't really want to socialize with anyone in particular because he wants to remain neutral and just have everyone like him. And he has this one best friend named Earl who he makes films with, and they're really, really bad films. And he's just going about his life doing his thing until one day his mom tells him that his childhood friend Rachel has gotten cancer and she wants him to befriend Rachel. He does this against his will and follows. There's a lot of really funny antics. It's not a sad story, honestly. It's super hilarious, and yeah, I really like it. It's a really good book. Question 9 is a character you'd like to be for the day, and honestly, I wasn't sure who I wanted to go with for this. There are a lot of characters I really, really admire and really love, but I don't necessarily want to be them because, like, their lives suck. But I went with this character because not really I want to, like, be her in the sense of, like, I want her life, but just, like, she's so cool, and I would strive to be that cool and that badass, and that is Kate Harker from the This Savage Song duology by Victoria Schwab. Kate is like my child. I love her to death. If you've talked with me about this duology, you know I love Kate. She just goes about her life, and she doesn't care what anybody thinks, and she's kind of scary in a cool way. So the kind of scary I would like to be for a day, but not be forever, so I pick her for just one day. Question 10 is a book that was so good you dreamt about it, and honestly, I don't dream about books that often, but I do distinctly remember having a nightmare about the mini version of Dracula in like grade 6. My mom had to read it for a required reading for her library school class, and she didn't want to read it, so she brought the abridged version. I just picked it up and read it for some reason, and it's kind of funny now. If you've watched my recent videos, you probably know how I feel about Dracula, which is that I hate it. But I did read pretty much all this mini version, and I remember having this really distinctive nightmare about it and like being really terrified when I woke up. And then I had to write this journal entry at school about this nightmare, and it was really scary. So yeah, like, it wasn't so good that I dreamt about it, but it was like so vivid that I dreamt about it, and I had a really scary nightmare. Question 11 is a book you DNF'd, aka did not finish, and for this I'm gonna say Wink Poppy Midnight by an author whose name I completely forget, but I'm gonna put the book in here so you guys will be able to tell. I just remember this book being like weird, like so freaking weird. Like, you didn't know what was happening, the plot was dumb, what it was going towards as a reveal seemed really stupid, and I actually skipped ahead and I read the reveal and I was like, this is stupid, I don't want to keep going. Sometimes I DNF a book and it's really hard for me to DNF it because I don't like to DNF things. But this was just one of those books where I looked at it and I was like, I am so glad I didn't finish that book. Like, I just don't want to go back to that ever. Finally, question 12 is a book you are most excited to read, and I'm most excited to read We Are on the Offbeat by Becky Albertalli. This is a yet to be released book. It comes out in April, I think, of 2018. I'm very, very excited. If you know me, you know I love Becky Albertalli. I love her books, so I'm super duper excited to read her new one. People say super duper anymore, or is that just me? So that is it for this tag. Thank you to Dana for tagging me, and once again, thank you to you guys for watching my channel. I'm sorry I've been really inconsistent with the past couple weeks with exams. This video should be going up on my usually scheduled Friday videos though, so it's a good thing. I'm getting better. As well, I will be going away. I just thought I'd let you guys know, from the 27th to about the 2nd of January. So I will be having videos pre-filmed and they will be going up. I just won't be around and interacting as much because I'm going to be really busy. I'm not sure who's done this tag really, but I'm going to tag Ren from A Bookish Balance and Rocky from Bond with a Book. If you guys would like to do this tag, then please do. Love to see you do it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe subscribe on your way out if you're new here. I upload videos every Tuesday and Friday with occasional bonus uploads throughout the week as I please. If you'd like to follow me on any of my social medias, links will all be in the description, but in the meantime, I will see you guys next time.